Driven to madness by her childlessness and a lonely marriage, a woman in Upper Austria in 1750 resorts to an unconventional method to end her life. Christoph, holding his crying baby brother in his arms, is suddenly called by his father, forcing him to leave the infant temporarily. Once Christoph departs, a woman with a vacant expression picks up the sobbing baby and heads into the woods. During her journey, she pauses to place her necklace around the infant's neck before reaching the waterfalls, where she tragically throws the crying baby to his death. After committing this horrendous act, she makes the sign of the cross. The woman then goes to the church to confess her sin, which leads to her execution. Her lifeless body is displayed publicly in the woods with her head in a cage. One night, a man visits to take one of her fingers as a token, believing it will bring good luck. The next morning, a Catholic woman named Agnes sings a hymn to the Blessed Mary while crafting her bridal crown. Her mother's call interrupts her, reminding her of the wedding time. Agnes hurries to her childhood home, marking her height on the wooden door frame before leaving to start her married life. Agnes then travels to the wedding venue with her mother and brother, Lucas, with her dowry loaded on a wagon. Before the ceremony, the attendees carry Agnes in delight, which concerns her soon-to-be husband, Wolf. The couple marries in the church, followed by a celebratory event. Mother Ganglin, Wolf's mother, removes Agnes's bridal crown and helps her into a dress, handing her a mock baby to signify her transition into married life and future role as a mother. Wolf is then blindfolded and attempts to hit a rooster. When he fails, he passes the task to a guest who succeeds. Later that day, while the guests are celebrating, Wolf takes Agnes to the woods and blindfolds her. Holding her hand, he guides her to the house he bought for them. Agnes is worried upon learning that Wolf borrowed 200 gulden in addition to using his own money for the purchase. However, Wolf reassures her that he will pay it off. Carrying her inside, Agnes is impressed with the spacious house. That night, Agnes returns to the celebration area and sees a drunk Wolf telling his friend, Lenz, that he is handsome. Her mother later approaches, hugs her, and informs her they will be leaving. Lucas also gifts her a beheaded woman's finger, hoping it will bring her good luck in conceiving a child. After the celebration, Agnes places the gift under her bed and prays by the window for the blessings of being a good wife and having a child. Later, as Agnes washes the kitchen tools, her husband notices her collection by the window and throws it into the fire. Agnes returns to the house and discusses with her husband whether his mother dislikes her. In a comforting tone, Wolf reassures her that his mother likes her, explaining that her attitude is due to being from a different generation. He adds that his mother even brought fish heads for her, indicating his favor. That night, Agnes wakes up and quietly leaves while her husband sleeps, feeling lonely. She goes to the back room where she has set up an altar and prays while a butterfly crawls on her face. The next morning, Agnes goes to the pond alone. When Wolf sees her, he warns her not to go alone as the mud can be treacherous. She explains that she wanted to make up for not cooking for him the previous day, but he dismisses her efforts and suggests fishing in a safer area. Later, Agnes sees her pregnant friend struggling to retrieve something from the water. She approaches to help and finds an animal skeleton. The woman asks her to put it back because it is considered a sign of misfortune. That evening, a neighbor informs Wolf that something has happened to Lenz. Wolf rushes out of the house, leaving Agnes behind. As Agnes cleans, she suddenly hears a noise outside and investigates. She sees her husband and friends demanding entry into Lenz's house. When they get inside, they discover that Lenz has hanged himself. They bring the body down while others restrain the grieving mother, who wishes to bury her son. The men then take the body to an unconsecrated ground for burial, leaving the mourning woman behind. Witnessing this, Agnes returns home and prays. During the memorial, the priest emphasizes that Lenz doesn't deserve a burial because he committed suicide. He explains that taking one's own life is considered a worse sin than ending an infant's life. Those who end their own lives are thought to be eternally damned, whereas those who commit murder can be forgiven before execution and go to heaven. Following the memorial, Agnes passes by the unconsecrated ground where Lenz's body is buried. Afterwards, she goes to tend the crops but realizes she has her period. She washes her undergarments in a nearby pond. Later, during food distribution, the pregnant woman requests 2 servings, but Mother Ganglin only gives her 1, upsetting the worker. Agnes then walks into the woods but is chased by bees. She hides near the spot where she can see the beheaded woman. Meanwhile, Mother Ganglin discusses with her son her concerns about Agnes's daily activities, particularly her neglect of stable duties and cooking. When Wolf explains that his wife often gets lost, his mother sees it as disrespect and notes that Agnes doesn't listen to her instructions. Wolf reassures his mother to give Agnes some time, believing she will improve. Despite this, Mother Ganglin remains unconvinced and worries that the situation is worsening as they are already the subject of gossip among the villagers. Unbeknownst to them, Agnes is listening from near the window. Hearing her mother-in-law wish her son had married a more sensible woman, Agnes's loneliness deepens. Instead of going home, she gazes at the moon and then at the beheaded woman. The next morning, Agnes returns to her childhood home. After seeing her mother and brother from the window, she heads to the stable to sleep. Her brother soon spots her, and when their mother finds out, she apologizes to Agnes, saying she won't be able to accommodate her. Hearing this, the lonely woman explains that she is afraid to return to her husband's house. When she refuses to leave, Wolf arrives to forcibly take her back. She pleads to be released, but her brother joins Wolf in pulling her away despite her protests. Back at the house, Wolf lays Agnes in bed. Meanwhile, Mother Ganglin and Wolf discover that the goats have maggots. Mother Ganglin immediately blames Agnes, assuming she has neglected the goats due to spending all day in bed. Later, Mother Ganglin and Wolf slaughter the goat and pour its blood into a bowl. Following this, the older woman goes to the bedroom and urges her daughter-in-law to pull herself together. However, Agnes, who has spiraled into depression, is unwilling to cooperate. Mother Ganglin then attempts to dress her, but Agnes takes the clothing and tries to dress herself, prompting her mother-in-law and husband to leave the room. Once they are gone, Agnes aggressively takes the clasp and combs her hair, indicating her mental distress. Believing that a poisonous fluid has caused his wife's melancholy, Wolf takes her to the bathhouse and wounds the back of her neck with a horse's hair. He explains that she must pull her hair back and forth to help the wound fester and allow the poison to drain out. Later that day, as Agnes returns home, she hears a crying baby left alone near the stream. Desperate for a child, she picks up the infant and takes it home, declaring it as a gift from God. However, when Mother Ganglin sees the baby, she insists Agnes return it, believing it belongs to someone else. Wolf agrees and scolds Agnes for taking a baby that isn't hers. Following their instructions, Agnes returns to the stream and leaves the infant on a grassy bed so the parents can find him. Returning home, Agnes lies in bed, still feeling lonely because of what happened. Meanwhile, Wolf attends a gathering that night to enjoy himself. Contemplating ending her life, Agnes decides to consume rat poison. She dips her fingers into it to taste it and then prays. Soon after, she begins trembling and hallucinating. She steals the holy infant from the church and brings it to her altar, singing to it. Suddenly, she notices the infant is wet and slowly losing its facial details, melting away. The next morning, she vomits outside and pulls at the hairs on the back of her neck. She then sees something in the soil and hallucinates herself being buried. Suddenly, she finds herself in bed with Wolf shaking her face. He complains, admitting that he doesn't know what to do with her, and, out of frustration, he wipes her face aggressively before leaving. Alone, Agnes consumes the rat poison again. Meanwhile, Wolf sits in the dining area, devastated by the situation. He soon returns to the bedroom and sees his ill wife. Considering calling the barber, Agnes suggests he call the priest instead, as she feels she needs to confess because she believes she's about to lose her life. Wolf complies and rushes out to fetch the priest. Once her husband is gone, Agnes continues to consume the rat poison. The next morning, Agnes manages to get up and clean herself. Afterward, she sits by the window and, oddly, puts a moth in her mouth. She then goes to her mother's and brother's bedroom, marking them with a sign of the cross. After that, she leaves the house and stops by the pond where she encounters children. She follows a boy and asks him to guide her to the shrine, promising to reward him if he accompanies her inside to say a prayer. Hearing this, the boy agrees. However, as he prays alongside her, Agnes suddenly stabs him in the neck. As the boy cries and pleads for her to stop, she merely shushes him. When he continues to cry, she stabs him again, leading to his demise. After ending the boy's life, Agnes believes he will never sin again now that he has become an angel of God. Following her murderous act, Agnes goes to the church to confess her deeds. That night, she receives a haircut. The next day, she visits the priest for her confession. After praying, she admits to having negative thoughts about her mother-in-law, fighting a woman on the church steps, shouting hurtful words, neglecting the goat, and allowing it to perish. She also confesses that she believes she brought misfortune upon everyone and that she intentionally ended the boy's life because she thought it meant her own life would end as well. Agnes adds that she hates herself for not being a good wife to her husband, for consuming rat poison, and for poisoning everything with her mad thoughts. She admits she can't bear her thoughts and knows that no one can help her. She cries and apologizes for ending the boy's life. Agnes then prays, hoping that the Heavenly Mother will not condemn her to a hellish place. She admits that she can't see a way out, which is why she wants her life to end. After hearing the confession, the priest absolves her sins. In response, Agnes laughs and cries uncontrollably like a madwoman. The next day, she is prepared for execution, wrapped in animal skin, and brought to the common area for everyone to witness. Among the spectators is Wolf, who watches her from the crowd with weary eyes. The man then places a cloth over Agnes's head before the sinner is beheaded. She sings a hymn to the Blessed Mary, prompting a girl to join her in singing. However, halfway through the song, the executioner abruptly carries out the execution, causing Wolf to cry out in sorrow. Afterward, Agnes's blood, which is believed to bring good luck, is distributed to the people in exchange for cash. Following this, a celebration ensues, and people begin dancing.